mean, it seems to me like the problem is that politicians all over Europe can, and journalists to an extent, can blame Brussels for things that go wrong and take credit for the things that go right, and eventually Brussels doesn't, or almost never gets any credit for anything.
No, I don't think we are to this point. We are to the point that if we want to make Europe sustainable, we have to make a federalist jump, and nobody wants this federalist jump. So we made the euro, so you share the currency, but you don't have a common budget, you don't have a common fiscal policy, and all this stability pact is a joke, nobody respects it, starting with the French. So we don't have a federation. I think it would be the solution, but the people don't want it. For the time being, we find no solution. I think that blaming Brussels, even in France, we know that it's not Brussels that is responsible for difficulties, but the government would be much better if we had a jump ahead, but nobody dares proposing it since the Brits are on their way out, since the French have said no to European constitution. So, well, I'm not really optimistic. I feel we have to keep on fighting, keeping what has been done. But I don't feel that the subject is Brussels. Nobody really cares of what's happening in Brussels. All European policy has been made between capitals for at least 5 or 6 years. The Commission was very weak. The two part of powers is the European Central Bank and the head of states when they deal the rescue package to Spain, to Greece, and so on. So I feel it's a bit of yesterday, the Brussels bashing.
Oh, you think we're moving away from it?
I think it's not the main problem. We have a much more existential problem in Europe, which is how you make the system sustainable. We have decided, or the governments have decided, to keep Greece in the euro, but we still have no solution. For example, what happens when at the end Germany has a total debt of 50% of GDP, and France and Italy have 110, 120. It's not sustainable. So I think we have to find a way so that euro remains over the long term, that is 10, 20, 30 years sustainable. The only way I feel is to have a more federal integration, and the people don't want it because they want that their taxes are decided by their parliaments. I don't blame them for this, but is the system viable? I'm not sure.
And as far as you're concerned, without that more federal link,
yeah,
it just wouldn't be sustainable.
No, it would be sustainable if you have a budget, if you have solidarity, if you have more harmonization of the taxes. But it implies huge reforms. So the only solution is that the countries do their reforms at home, and when European countries are back again, you can have a new European project. I mean, the growth of European integration, it was always correlated with growth. I mean, after war, it was reconstruction. Europe was a success. In the 70s, it was a big crisis. Europe was not a success. It started again in the 80s when there was the first globalization, and during 20 years, it was a success, and it stopped at the end of the 90s, when we had much more difficulties adapting ourselves to the BRICS, to China, and to all political stuff. So I feel Europe is a success when politics is a success in national states.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, and we'll hear more from you at the State of the Union.
Okay.
I hope. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.